Imagine a California kid born under the sun, but his mind wasn't just on the sunshine, it was on the shadows. His name was David Chaum. Even then, in the 1960s, he saw something coming. A new world built of wires and code, and in that world he saw a problem. Who's watching? Who's keeping score? Who knows everything you do? Who knows everything you buy? Who knows everything you are? This question wasn't just a thought, it was a spark, a tiny flicker in the mind of a young man who would one day try to build a fire to keep us all warm. This wasn't about being sneaky, it was about being free. He went to college, UC Berkeley, a place where ideas were like fireworks. He studied computer science. He learned the language of machines. But he wasn't just learning how to build things. He was learning how things could be used against you. He saw the power of databases. Big, giant digital filing cabinets, your name, your address, your secrets. What happens when all that information is connected? What happens when someone or something can see it all at once? He realized privacy wasn't just about closing your curtains. In the future, privacy would have to be built, coded, designed. This was not a villain's origin. This was a hero's. David wasn't trying to hide, he was trying to protect. He saw the future like a movie playing out in his head. A future where every click, every purchase, every opinion was recorded and stored forever. He believed that in a democracy, you needed a space to be anonymous. He decided he would build the key. Now, what's the one thing that leaves the biggest trail? The thing that tells the most about you? Your money. Every time you swipe a card, write a check, or make a transfer, you leave a breadcrumb. A little digital footprint that says, I was here, I bought this. David knew this. He saw that if you wanted true privacy, you had to solve the money problem. Cash was king for a reason. It was anonymous. You could buy a newspaper or a cup of coffee, and only you and the person you bought it from knew. But in a digital world, how do you create digital cash? How do you make ones and zeros act like a real, untraceable dollar bill? This was the puzzle, the big one. How do you make digital money private but also secure? It had to be something you couldn't just copy and paste. If you could, you'd be printing money. That's called the double spending problem, and it was the wall that everyone hit. He needed a way to make a digital coin unique and spendable only once, yet anonymous. It seemed impossible. Like trying to invent a ghost that could hold a key, he needed a little bit of magic. And in the world of computer science, magic is just another word for brilliant cryptography. The dream wasn't just about hiding, it was about choice. You could choose to use your credit card and have the transaction recorded, or you could choose to use this new thing, this digital cash, and have it be as private as handing someone a $5 bill. It was about restoring balance. He believed technology had taken away a power we didn't even know we had, the power of everyday anonymity, and he was going to use technology to give it back. His dream was to put that power back in your pocket, a digital pocket. An idea is one thing, a company is another. In 1989, David Chaum took his dream and gave it a name, DigiCash. He moved to the Netherlands and set up shop. This wasn't a slick Silicon Valley startup with beanbags, ping-pong tables. This was a small group of true believers, huddled around computers, trying to build the future. They were crafting the code that would bring blind signatures to life. They were creating a system that would let you pay for things online, instantly and anonymously. This was years before Amazon, before PayPal, before anyone was really buying anything on the internet. But the world wasn't ready. He would go to banks, to big financial institutions, and he would lay out his vision. He'd say, I've invented digital cash. It's secure, it's anonymous, it's the future. And they would just stare. They didn't get it. Why would anyone want anonymous money? They saw it as a threat, a tool for criminals. They couldn't see the bigger picture. They couldn't see the world of data surveillance that was just around the corner. He was a man selling lifeboats to people on a ship that they thought was unsinkable. The skepticism was a wall, a thick concrete wall. Imagine the frustration. You've solved one of the biggest problems of the coming digital age, but nobody wants it. Nobody even understands what the key is for. He did pilots. He got a few small banks on board. For a moment, it looked like it might happen. You could actually use DigiCash to buy things. In 1998, after years of fighting, DigiCash filed for bankruptcy. The machine stopped. So the company failed. Was that the end of the story? No, not even close. Because David Chaum wasn't just a CEO, he was a pioneer. A pioneer's job isn't always to build the first city. Sometimes it's just to draw the map, to show everyone else the way. Even in failure, DigiCash had proven something monumental. It proved that private digital cash was possible. He had laid down the tracks. He showed that the double spending problem could be solved. He demonstrated that blind signatures worked. He had taken an impossible idea and made it real, even if only for a short time. Think about what that means. He was the first one through the door. He took the arrows. He faced the skepticism. He invested his time, his money, and his reputation into an idea that the world dismissed. That takes a special kind of courage. It's one thing to have an idea. It's another to stand on a stage in front of powerful people and tell them their entire way of doing things is about to change and that you have the answer. He was a prophet speaking of a future no one else could see. And like many prophets, he wasn't listened to in his own time. But his words didn't disappear. They echoed. The failure of DigiCash wasn't a failure of the idea. It was a failure of timing. The world simply had to catch up. In the years that followed, the internet exploded. And just as David had predicted, data became the new oil. David Chaum had planted a seed. Fast forward about a decade. The year is 2008. The world is in a financial crisis. Trust in banks is at an all-time low. And then, something appears. A white paper posted on a small cryptography mailing list. It's titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. The author is a mysterious figure named Satoshi Nakamoto. And what is this paper describing? A new form of digital money, one that doesn't need a bank, one that is decentralized, and one that solves the double spending problem. It was a revolution, and it was standing on the shoulders of a giant. Satoshi Nakamoto didn't invent digital cash out of thin air. The Bitcoin white paper cites the work of others. It builds on decades of research, and the ghost in that machine, the foundational idea that privacy and security were paramount, echoes the work of David Chaum. While Bitcoin's approach was different, it used a public ledger called the blockchain instead of a central mint with blind signatures. The spirit was the same. It was about creating money that was native to the internet, money that put power back into the hands of the individual. It was Chaum's dream, remixed for a new generation. The core problems that Bitcoin solved were the very problems Chaum had spent his life thinking about. Satoshi's genius was to decentralize the whole thing, but the philosophical DNA, the burning desire to use cryptography to empower the individual, was pure Chaum. The echo of his 1982 paper was now a roar, and then came the flood. Bitcoin wasn't just an idea anymore, and it inspired thousands of others, creating coins like Monero and Zcash, which are a direct spiritual succession to Chaum's original vision of untraceable electronic money. So, where is David Chaum today? He's still here. He's still building. He never stopped. He's seen the world he predicted come to pass. He's seen the rise of massive data monopolies. He's seen his ideas, once dismissed, become the foundation of a multi-trillion-dollar industry. He doesn't have to say, "I told you so." The world itself is saying it for him. The conversation he started about privacy, about digital sovereignty, about the nature of money, is now one of the most important conversations of the 21st century. His legacy isn't a failed company from the 90s. His legacy is the world we live in now. His journey matters because it's a story about the power of an idea. It's a lesson that being right isn't always enough. You also have to be right at the right time, but it's also a lesson that a powerful idea never truly dies. It waits, it evolves, it finds new champions. The story of David Chaum isn't a tragedy. It's an epic. It's the story of a hero who was so far ahead of his time that he had to wait for the world to catch up. His vision for a more private, more equitable digital world is more relevant now than ever before. Today, as we grapple with questions about data ownership, surveillance, and the power of big tech, we are all living in the world that David Chaum saw coming. The tools he began to build, the cryptographic shields, the concepts of digital anonymity, are the very tools we need to navigate this future. He gave us the language and the grammar to even talk about these problems. He asked the question that started it all. In a digital world, who holds the power? And he spent his life trying to make sure the answer was, you do.